In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Star Wars Vintage Collection Knight of Ren. Hey there, Star Wars collectors. Welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video. Today, we're going to be looking at the Knight of Ren from the Vintage Collection. He is on the Rise of Skywalker card. Obviously, he's going to be one of the new characters from the new film that comes out in December. And I do believe that this guy is actually called the Monk. So I think there's about 6 different Knights of Ren, and I think this one is called the Monk. I know that because it was on the sort of press release that Hasbro gave out, and that fills me with joy because basically that means they do have names, which means Hasbro are probably thinking about creating some of the other ones, and obviously, hopefully when they do, it'll be called Knight of Ren, and then might have a brackets there with the actual name of it. But this one at the time is called the Monk, and obviously we don't know exactly what's going to happen in the film, but we do know that he is one of the Knights of Ren. So he's basically, I think, Kylo Ren's bodyguards. I don't think they've got anything to do with the Sith or the Jedi necessarily, but they're kind of his like muscle, if you like. That is what I think anyway, so we'll have to wait until the film to see. Now, just before I get this card open and take a look at the figure, I do want to give 2 shout outs very, very quickly if you wouldn't mind, and ask you if you wouldn't mind just to like this video by hitting that little thumbs up button. So the first shout out is to a guy called Jay, fan of the channel. I want to thank him very much because today he has emailed me to say that he's managed to get me a Jabba's Palace from the US, which means he's going to send me that. I did have a Jabba's Palace, but I ended up giving it to my son for his birthday, so I recarded all the figures and put it all back in the box after I'd done the review, and I gave it to my son for his 6th birthday. He was over the moon with it, obviously, but I thought naturally I'll be able to easily get another one of those, and so no, I don't have Rees and I don't have the Han Solo and Carbonite to put on my wall for the rest of my figures, but now I do because Jay, my friend in America, he has actually sourced one for me, so I can't wait to get hold of that. Second shout out is to a guy called Nathan Cloud. Now, I think he's a fan of the channel. He's actually my first patron on Patreon. Now, I don't advertise my Patreon. I never have. I think I might have included the link to it in one of my videos in the description below, but I've never actually mentioned it before. And that's purely because I don't really know what to do with it. I don't really know what to offer anyone. The only thing that I can offer at the moment is to give people a shout out on videos that actually, you know, sponsor me, if that's what you want to call it, in Patreon. It's very, very kind of him, and obviously it will go towards the upkeep of my website and things like that. You know, all these sorts of things do cost me money. So thank you very much, Nathan Cloud, for being the very first patron on my Patreon. Anyway, enough of the shout outs. Let's take a quick look at the card. Now, you will notice that mine's got a rip at the top. Now, the reason for that is because it came with that warning sticker. Now, if you've noticed on the other cards, or some of the cards have got no sticker and it's actually printed on, some of them have got stickers, so I thought, why not try and peel it off? And it was going ever so well until it got to the top, and then it ripped the card. Now, it doesn't actually matter because I'm going to open this anyway and chuck the card away. I do have another one to keep carded, but I just did want to see if it would come off. It has left a sort of shadow mark where it hasn't ripped the card, so if you have got them, I probably wouldn't advise it unless you're going to use lighter fluid or something like that, or know a better way of getting the stickers off. I wouldn't advise it because it's going to rip the card. Right then, anyway, so we've got the Knights of Ren in the name pill there. We've got the Kenner logo at the bottom. The image there is obviously just a stock photo kind of thing, if you like, which has been given to Hasbro to use on the cards because they haven't got a still image from the film that they can take straight from the film. They confirmed this at the New York Comic Con panel the other day. All the figures that have come out for the Rise of Skywalker had to use sort of promo images because obviously they just cannot, or haven't seen the film yet, so they cannot take those images straight from the film. Back of the card, this is VC155, as you can see, and there's the rest of the figures on the back. We've got the Vintage Collection logo, Disney and Hasbro at the bottom. We're going to open this sucker up and check out the figure. Alright then, guys, so here is the Knight of Ren out of the packaging with his pretty cool looking weapon there. And as you can see, he does have like a sort of Knight of the Old Republic look to him. Very nice figure indeed. Now, I remember speaking to my friend Only One Kenobi at the Echo Live at the weekend. He asked me, you know, which figures I was going to review first, and I actually wanted to do the Sift Jet Trooper first because I personally thought he looked the best in the wave. And the reason I was put off by this figure is a couple of reasons really. I saw obviously some other people had done reviews of him already, so we'd seen him out of the packaging, but I wasn't too keen on the rubber sort of headpiece that he has all attached to his head. I sort of mentioned that I was hoping that we were going to get, you know, maybe a little bit of soft goods. So it is like a really big piece of rubbery plastic, but that's not taking anything away from the figure. Obviously it's very nice, it's detailed. You've got some nice paint apps down on the bottom there. Maybe that's where it's been sort of dragging through the mud or something. But as I said, he does have this rather large piece of rubber plastic that's over his shoulders as his cape, and then these long bits of rubber, which are a bit softer, are attached to his head. So if I was to take his head off, those rubbery bits would go with it, which is the only sort of negative that I do have about this figure. Apart from that, you cannot complain whatsoever. You can see the detail on his wrist there. That's sort of like gauntlet type thing, and he does have those on his boots as well. Sort of shin pads there. He does look pretty damn awesome. Nice helmet sculpt there with some silver flash details. So he's very, as I said, very sort of Knight of the Old Republic, and I think that's pretty much where they got the Kylo Ren sort of concept from as well. You know, you could loosely based on Darth Revan perhaps. If we just move this out of the way there, you can see he's got a nice silver buckle on his waist there, and some nice detailing and paint apps on his clothes. The weapon itself is like a long staff with this nice metal axe type effect on the top. That does remove, by the way, if you wanted to take that off. So a nice closer look at that. Some really nice paint apps on there, giving it that sort of weathered look. Very nice indeed. In terms of articulation of the figure, he has a ball jointed head, much like the Sift Jet Trooper, with a double jointed ball in there. So it goes like that sort of rocking fashion, forward and back, but it also moves every which way that you want. But obviously when you start turning it around, you know, these things do get in the way slightly. They hit his arms, as you can see, like that. So they don't really turn with the figure, if you like. He has ball jointed shoulders, little bit restricted by his plastic cape, but not too much. You can still get them up to a right angle, but obviously you're not going to be able to twist them all the way around because of that sort of big thick bit of plastic there. Ball jointed elbows, which spin obviously, and we do have wrist articulation, and I do believe there is a hinge in there as well, which is nice. The waist is really loose, so he's got so much movement on his waist. You can almost flip him all the way round. That even might be a little bit too loose for my liking, but it allows you to get him into lots of different positions and poses. Ball jointed legs, split at the thigh for extra articulation. Knees do bend, and obviously has the typical hinge at the feet as well, which spins. So full articulation as you would expect from the vintage collection, as we have seen in pretty much every single figure from this wave. But yeah, I do like this figure. I do like him a lot. The only complaint that I would have, as I mentioned before, was I just wish it would have a bit of soft goods. Maybe they didn't have to do this whole cape bit in soft goods, but maybe just the headdress. But they do sit flush, which is quite nice. I was worried that they might sort of bend and stick out all over the place, but they do sort of sit flush on the figure there. Alright then guys, so that is it for this review. Thank you very much for watching. Drop a like if you like this video. Drop a like if you like the Knight of Ren. And we'll see you on the next one.